the MLK Commission Work Group number 3, History of Lynching in Virginia, to order for our meeting. Normally we start with introductions, and it's a little harder since we are virtual for me to put you all in order of where you're sitting. So I am going to have you all introduce yourselves based on your appearance on my iPad screen. So I'll have to call on you. And then if you could just introduce yourself, identify if you are a member of the full commission, if you are a member of the full commission, and just let us know where you are from. So with that, I am going to start with Dr. DeFazio.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gianluca De Fazio. I'm an associate professor at James Madison University, and I'm a member of the History of Lynching working group.
And Dr. Gibson.
Good afternoon, everyone. Matthew Gibson. I'm in Charlottesville. I'm the executive director of Virginia Humanities, the state's Humanities Council, and I'm also on the commission.
Sandra Locke.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Amy Locke. I represent the 2nd Senate District, which is parts of the cities of Hampton, Newport News, Portsmouth, and part of York County. And in addition to the working group, I'm also a member of the commission.
Dr. Carey.
Good afternoon. I'm Ron Carey, retired administrator of the City of Richmond Public Schools. I'm a member of the entire committee. Mama King.
Ms. Nelson.
What?
That's you.
Oh, that same line. My name is Zan Nelson, and I am a member of the Lynching Study Work Group, and I live in Culpeper.
All right. Ms. Edwards. Brenda.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brenda Edwards, former staff to the commission.
All right. Dr. Kimball. You are muted.
There we go. I'm Greg Kimball. I'm the Director of Public Services and Outreach at the Library of Virginia.
All right. Rabbi Aft.
Hi, I'm Bruce Aft. I am, excuse me, I'm a Rabbi Emeritus at a congregation in Northern Virginia, and am serving as a visiting scholar at the Carter School for Conflict and Peace Resolution over at George Mason, and am working with Dr. Charles Chavez at the Mitchell program dealing with Black-Jewish relations. And it's great to be with all of you.
All right, Jelaine Schmidt.
Hi, I'm a professor of religious studies at the University of Virginia and director of the Memory Project.
Okay. Professor Ayers.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ed Ayers, professor at University of Richmond, the head of the New American History Project there.
Lance and Hannah. Get muted.
Thank you so much, Senator. I'm Lance Warren. I'm a documentary filmmaker based in Richmond. Hannah and I directed a film on the history and legacy of lynching in the American South several years ago.
All right. Delegate McQuinn.
Good afternoon. I, Delegate McQuinn, represent the 7th House District, which includes Charles City, City of Richmond, Chesterfield, and Henrico County. And I am a part of the, in addition to that, I'm a member of the commission.
All right. Any other working group members I did not call? Okay. Before we get started, I will go ahead and ask staff to introduce themselves. And I want to start with Lindley Griffith, who has been working after the Senate clerk to help organize our meetings. Unfortunately, this is going to be her last meeting with us, as she will continue to be in the clerk's office, but focusing on other assignments. So Lindley, before you introduce yourself, I just want to say thank you for your service to the commission. She's the one that handles polling all the members, making sure that our meetings run smoothly when we were meeting in person, securing locations for us and scheduling. So thank you for your service, Lindley, and go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Lindley. I'm Deputy Director of Senate Committee Operations with the Clerk's Office. And I just want to thank you all. I have great memories the last 4 years with all of you traveling all over Virginia, new members, old members, Lily, Amigo, and especially you, Senator McCollum. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Lily.
And I'm Lily Jones with the Division of Legislative Services and staff for the commission, along with Amigo Wade, who, oh, there he is.
I think while Amigo is connecting the audio, we've been joined by another work group member. So Laurinette.
Hello, it's good to be with everyone. I've missed our times together and I look forward to the work that we'll do.
Thank you. All right, Amigo. You're muted.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amigo Wade. I'm acting director of the Division of Legislative Services. I've been working with the commission there, I think, going on 3 years when Brenda left us.
Yeah, I always like to remind people that Brenda was not only the institutional memory and so vital that when she retired, we needed 2 people to replace her. Have I missed anybody? Okay. What I wanted to do today is at our last meeting, we began our planning for the year and identified 5 regions where we wanted to do programming this year and assigned leads for each of those regions. And so we'll get an update on where those programs stand. If there are any dates, we'll go ahead and get the dates nailed down so that we can begin publicizing. Then we will discuss the website. We had, it was on the agenda last time. I don't think we had a chance to discuss it. And since then, Zan was communicated with members of the working group. So we will talk about what we want, how we want to see the website go forward. And then we will talk about the student art and essay contest. At the last meeting, we tentatively discussed hosting that project in the 2021-2022 school year. So we will talk a bit about that as the current school year is coming to a close, so that if the work group decides it wants to move forward with that essay contest for the next school year, we can begin the process of reaching out to the superintendent and the schools and identify a lead to help put that application process together. So with that, we identified Richmond, Danville, Hampton Roads, Culpeper, and Northern Virginia. Well, actually, we didn't identify Northern Virginia, but Rabbi, I've reached out to Lily to identify a potential event up in Northern Virginia. So let's start with Lance with an update on our Richmond event.
Thank you, Senator. The idea for the Richmond event is pretty simple, but we hope very impactful. The idea would be to create a professional development opportunity for teachers, a way to make sure that we don't get into a situation with each generation that we are now, where so many adults don't know well this history because, in fact, it was taught in schools. And to do that, we want to do 2 things. We want to make sure first to plan the event itself with teachers and with folks who have been doing such important work on teacher training, particularly around the history of racial violence and lynching specifically in Virginia. So we're going to, from the ground up, build it in a way that will be relevant to teachers, will be useful to them. It won't be a chore, another kind of professional development thing that they have to do, but something they'll want to engage in. And the idea will be to offer that by the end of the summer, so that what's learned and the new tools that are gained will be ready to be put into action for the upcoming school year. So plans will get going on that in the next couple of weeks here, and look forward at an upcoming meeting to updating the group on where we stand with that.
Ed has his hand raised.
Senator McCoy, I can't tell if you've called on me or not. You're muted. So,
sorry about that. Go ahead.
Okay. Just wanted to relate to that the new curriculum frameworks for the standards of learning for the first time have lynching as an identifiable topic and theme. So the work that Lance, Hannah are working on will be especially meaningful because teachers now have it in the curriculum frameworks that this is an acknowledged part of Virginia's history. So that's something we've been able to do since our last meeting, and looks like progress. Thank you.
I appreciate Ed, you underscoring that. It's a real opportunity and one that it would be a shame for this working group to miss the chance to do something meaningful around. So indeed, it's one extra reason why now is very much the time to dive into work like this and make sure that it counts.
Absolutely. Any questions for Lance? I have one. Lance, have you been in contact with the Department of Education to plug into some of the programming they may already have going?
Not yet. It's one of the first steps that I want to take. I was mainly coordinating with Lily on kind of details first to make sure we were all kind of well aligned, that it made sense before proceeding. But I would very much like to do so. Maybe I could talk to Lily about someone you'd recommend to speak to over at Virginia DOE.
Yes. When we will get that information to you. I have a call with Dr. James Lane about something unrelated, a different commission, but I will talk to him about who is now. They had a summer program for teachers that Betsy Barton used to run, and I'm not sure who is in charge of that now, but we'll check with Dr. Lane and connect you with that person.
That would be great. I love the idea of linking on to another effort that's already being publicized and attended and all of that, rather than kind of starting something from the ground up. You know, if we know people are going to be there already and there's a lot of work around communication going, let's just be a part of a plan and try to make it better.
Yeah, and that program was specifically targeted to social studies and history teachers, which are the ones that would need this. So we'll make sure to connect you. Larnett?
Madam Chair, I believe Christonia Brown at the Department of Education is who Betsy worked with in the past, okay, specifically regarding social studies education.
Okay, we will follow up on that. Any other questions or comments around Richmond? All right, if not, Hannah, you were focused on Danville.
Yes. I'm in touch with Carice Luck from History United, Project of Virginia Humanities, and we too decided to go with an event that really has teachers as the core audience. They offer a teacher content academy every summer as part of professional development in Danville, and Carice said that focusing on the history of lynching would be a really smart way to go, especially considering the curriculum standards. And so we're working to figure out the exact dates of that and whether it'll be an in-person training or virtual. But the idea would be to show an outrage and really demonstrate the range of resources that are available to teachers to integrate this history into their curriculum in the coming year.
Okay. Any questions for Hannah? All right. Dr. Cassandra Newby-Alexander was focused on Hampton Roads. I do not see her on today. Lily, I think you were talking to each of the leads to get an update. Do you have an update from her?
Hers hadn't changed much from the last update she gave at our December meeting. It's still planned as a panel discussion exploring local history and probably a hybrid in-person virtual event.
Okay. September. Does she have a date yet or just September right now?
No, just September for now.
Okay. We will get that to everyone. Zan, you have an update on Culpeper? Dan, you're muted.
Okay. So, yes, in the sense, I mean, we're talking about October or November, and we were going to do November, and we may still do November. I have a tentative location that it's a little bit out of the town of Culpeper, but it can accommodate a large number of people, and it's very African American centric to that community. So we have a couple of sites we could look at. But anyway, I have revised the sort of content and I'm looking more to a workshop type format, but with some folks brought in from, for those of you who don't know, we're doing sort of a planning district area we will be touching, including 5 counties, Rappahannock, Madison, Orange, Fauquier, and Culpeper. Is that 5? Anyway, these are all very rural areas, small towns, rural areas. And what we want to focus on is community activities, how you can begin to raise the awareness of African American history in those communities, including any lynchings that took place in those communities. Now, we've already started something in Culpeper and Orange under the umbrella of a little tag I gave it called Write the Record. And we're having, it's slow, but we're having some landmark kind of success. The town of Culpeper passed a resolution that basically said they acknowledged there was a great deal of African American history. They regretted it had not been recognized and commemorated, and they pledged to change that. We being a larger group, is beginning a report with recommendations, and that report is documenting African American history in Culpeper, which has never been done. And I'm sure that in a lot of these rural areas, it's never been done. And we're calling on a lot of people who live in the community to help us with that. We did some interviews a week ago. We interviewed 9 people who told wonderful stories. And it's only a beginning. This report is only a beginning. It's not meant to be comprehensive. But the recommendation part of it then allows not just the municipalities, the town governments or the county governments, but any kind of agency or any kind of civic group to get some ideas about how to commemorate these people and the events, not to exclude certainly the lynching events. And it's, we've been focused on, okay, we need to have a memorial or a commemorative sign. And in some places that works really well. And in other places, there's a fair amount of resistance in logistics. So we want to give people an opportunity to hear what other communities have done, to learn about other ways they can commemorate these people and the sites and the events. So that's sort of where we're going with the format and the concept, and it will be a fall event.
Okay. Any questions for Zan?
Madam Chair, if I may, Zan,
yes.
When you say the title is Write the Record, is that WRIT?
No, Lauren, it's RIGHT.
All right.
And it includes, there's a piece that goes with that. It doesn't just correct things that have been broadcast incorrectly. It also brings to the forefront histories and events, people's achievements. They've remained unknown. So it goes along with the new education policies. In the town of Orange, I don't want to let the cat too much out of the bag, but on the 15th of May, there will be, I believe, the first ever portrait of an African American individual put with all the other portraits in the circuit courtroom of Orange County. I think that it has not been done anywhere in the Commonwealth of Virginia, not in a courtroom. So we're also doing, there's an African American commercial district destroyed by a bypass through the town of Orange. Much of it was destroyed for that, and the history has basically been forgotten. We being the Orange County African American Historical Society, which is using this Write the Record program as a tool, we're going to be putting some interpretive panels to tell that story, and it's hopeful that the town has a little plot of land there, 0.8 of an acre, which we're working with the Main Street program to build a park there. So it is right, RIGHT, the record.
Thank you.
Any other? Go ahead.
I can see where you're going with that, but I also can see the value in WRITE, particularly because so much of African American history has not been documented in written form. And so I'm wondering, will there be a print component to this, what you're proposing to do?
The proposal for Culpeper, and this is all very new, Lornette, but it will be a printed document, the report and the recommendations. We then plan to share that not only with the town council, who this is part of their sort of resolution, but with the libraries at the schools, with the community public library, anybody else who wants it. And if possible, we may need some help, but to get it digitized, we could then put it on a website, all with the caveat that says this is not the complete African American history of Culpeper County. It's a beginning, and what we hope will happen, it'll start conversations, and that others will want to add to that history over the years. Does that answer your question?
Okay, any other questions on Culpeper? Okay, and Rabbi, after you had an idea you wanted to bring to the working group on an event at George Mason, and you're muted.
Okay, thank you. That is correct. Professor Chavis put together a museum about lynching in Maryland, and he is the professor with whom I interact very closely. And we talked about trying to do some sort of a program in the fall, probably mid-fall, for George Mason students, for the faculty, and possibly for the larger Northern Virginia community to be both an educational program about lynching, but also to perhaps do some training, as has been mentioned by others of you. I don't know if I need everybody's okay since I'm the new guy on the block here, but we would like to be able to do this in probably October, November. That's my guess after speaking to Charles earlier today. So that would be the program, probably sponsored through either the Carter School or the African American Studies program at George Mason.
Okay. We have operated basically on consensus for the working group. So, and I think unless anyone objects, I see no issue with moving forward with a program at George Mason. And if you need some sort of co-leads or folks to help you out with that beyond Lily and Amigo, just let us know.
Thank you. Everybody okay with it? I don't see anybody dissenting, so hopefully we'll be able to put something nice together. Thanks so much, everybody.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
I had one question or suggestion. And that is because you're talking about what?
I said, go ahead.
You're talking about October or November, which is also what we're thinking about doing, and we're fairly close geographically. So I just would like to get together with you so that we're not planning events that are within 2 weeks of each other.
Fair enough. Will do.
I heard another, Lance.
Thank you. Rabbi Aft, I just wanted to offer a suggestion that you may be well aware of, but George Mason has a new program, the John Mitchell Program for History, Race, and Justice. John Mitchell, of course, being the crusading anti-lynching journalist out of Richmond, and that program has recently been named in his honor. And I know that from conversations with the director there that they're really trying to broaden an already a good network that they have. And so there may be capacity there that you could draw on. There may be some kind of shared abilities that where they'd be a good partner.
Yeah, Charles Chavis is the director of that program, and he's the guy who's going to be setting up the program. So great. Yeah, we've tapped into him, and that's why he's so excited to do it as part of his program.
That's great. That's great.
Thanks so much.
Any other questions or suggestions? The only suggestion I would have, you might want to think about the school. Back in 2019, the Loudoun NAACP worked with the George Mason School for Conflict Analysis. And as part of their work with the Community Remembrance Project about the discussion to claim the 3 EJI monuments specifically related to lynchings in Loudoun, they held a panel discussion, but they also divided the audience up and had a facilitated sort of working group discussion to talk through lynching, those specific lynchings, how the community would want to commemorate them and remember them. And there might be some element of that you may or may not want to incorporate, but if you're interested in exploring having the School for Conflict Analysis do some sort of facilitated discussion, I can put you in contact with the folks that plan that event.
That would be great, because I'm pretty sure Professor Chavis wasn't there at that time. And so, yeah, if you have some contacts, maybe there's still faculty who are on the, at the school. That would be great, because the Carter School is now what used to be the School for Conflict Analysis and Resolution. And before that, the Institute for Conflict Analysis and Resolution. So there's been some turnover, but yeah, please send me the information. That's great.
Okay, I will send you that. That was an event in March of 2019. So they had 3 students that worked on it, but we'll definitely see who the contact was that coordinated that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other? I see, Matt.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to draw attention to, or just ask a question about resources needed to actually put on these events and sort of where people are in obtaining those resources. Obviously, money matters, and I'm just curious as to where people are in needing resources. I just bring this up mostly just as an opportunity, possibly, especially if there's a nonprofit agent involved actively in the project. There's a new tranche of money from the American Rescue Plan that actually will be coming to Virginia Humanities in the next probably few weeks for re-granting to nonprofits with a focus on, it's got to be related somehow to COVID, whether it's coming out of COVID and rebuilding and having an opportunity to come out of COVID strong, but it has to sort of always refer back to, how COVID was an impact. And I think certainly in this instance, it has been, because it's postponed a lot of the work that we've been trying to do. So if that is of interest, I'm thinking of Charles actually at the John Mitchell Jr. Project, because he is a grantee of Virginia Humanities in the past, and I think it would be a great opportunity to really put some of these American Rescue Plan funds to work for the work that we're doing here. So just to keep that in consideration.
That's great. I made a note, and I'll talk to you offline more about that.
Great, and others too, please.
Thanks.
Yep.
Well, and that reminds me. So typically, the commission has an operating budget that is about $50,000 a year that covers our meetings and any programming that we do. We have carryover funds that go into a special fund, and typically the annual appropriation has been enough to cover any programming that we do. I would ask folks, as you are working on your events, if you have costs that you anticipate, if the sooner you could get those to Lily, the sooner we can figure out if we need additional funds beyond what the commission operating funds are. But Brenda might remember something I don't, but I don't ever remember a time where the commission's operating funds did not cover our programming, with the obvious exception of the monument that we're building, but that's more a capital fund thing anyway. And with the caveat, the state cannot pay for alcohol. So to the extent any event has a reception component, and given we're not sure where we're going to be with COVID restrictions at the time, I don't know that we're planning to have any reception component, but just keep that in mind going forward. We do not pay for alcohol out of state funds. Any other question around the programming events planned through 2021? If not, I would remind everyone. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I just wanted to ask a quick question. I was contacted by Besida Cawthorn White regarding a project in Essex County to commemorate a lynching in that county. Of course, Besida is a native of Essex, and I did send her contact information for the commission, and I was just curious if she had followed up with that, whether that could maybe be rolled up in the Tidewater event in some way.
I do not recall receiving anything through my Senate account, if that's what you gave her. Lily or Amigo, did you all receive anything?
No,
No,
okay.
ma'am.
I just wanted to. I think the intent was to do a historical marker, one of the state markers, but since they were pretty actively working on it, and we did some research for them also at the library, so. Just wanted to see, and I'll check back with her and see what their plans are.
Okay. And if you want to send me her contact information, I can contact her directly as well.
Great. I'll do that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments around 2021 programming events? If not, I'll remind everyone that as soon as you have a date, if you can get that to Lily, the commission can send a press release, create a flyer, and post that on both our website and our Facebook page, and help with publicity. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is a discussion about how we want our website to commemorate the Lynching in Virginia project. And Zan, I think you wanted to lead this discussion.
Well, Lily kindly sent out the last piece I wrote for the December meeting, just to refresh everybody's memories and not have them dig all through their computer files to find it. So I hope you all had a chance of looking at that. We started this discussion earlier than December And I've kind of volunteered to spearhead this. Then there were others who wanted to have input. So the bottom line is we are tasked with trying to do something with the website as a study group and on the subject of lynching. And of course, on the MLK website, there is a page for lynching in Virginia. And I'm going to, in case you haven't read it, there's the 2 points were this. Do we have a full-blown website where people can interact, tell their stories, ask questions? We can post information about people that were lynched or had their families if they wanted to tell their stories, or which requires funding. It requires somebody to actively monitor it so that it doesn't go stale and people, when they ask questions, they get answers quickly if they can. And that really doesn't seem to be a reality for us right now. So the alternative is to beef up the page we have with some information that it's okay that it remains relatively static. From what Lily has explained to me, somebody sort of off-site manages the MLK website, and there's only certain things that can be done in-house, say by Lily or another staff member. So it's important that the information be relatively static. But right now, it's just very basic. So I'm happy to hear, we're all happy to hear ideas, but we're 2 years into this now, going on I think our third year. And what I would propose is that one or two of us, I'm happy to help, work with Lily to sort of beef up the page that we have, maybe even have that sent out in draft to the members to see if they approve or they want something different. Some of the ideas I thought we don't have really, we have a wonderful quote from Ida B. Wells, but we don't really have anything that completely explains lynching. And I think that would be good so that people understand what it is. And then sort of an overview of what happened in Virginia. And we can pull that from the various folks, including Jean-Luc's database, that have kept records, the Tuskegee Institute, the Equal Justice Initiative. And then keep the big thing I think to keep updated is any events we're having and any resources that people could use to bring into their own communities for commemoration or like reaching out to somebody at the Library of Virginia for help with research, those kinds of things. And they can be as links or emails or phone numbers or what have you. And we have some of that on there. But we don't have all of it that's I think out there. So that's my 2 cents. I really would love some feedback.
But before I open it up to that, let me take us back to the 10,000 foot level. So because the commission, as a legislative commission and legislative entity, our website is housed by and is owned by, for lack of a better word, it's part of the Division of Legislative Services website. So that is why our existing website is limited in what it can do, because it and Brenda, again, as our institutional memory, or Lily, jump in if I forget to add anything to this. But as long as it is housed on the Legislative Services website, we are limited in what we can do. We are limited in who can do it. We are limited in sort of our control over it. To the extent we want to do something outside of legislative services, we would, and Amigo, I'm looking to you for this, I believe have to either go through an RFP process to secure a vendor or seek a waiver from the Senate Rules Committee from the RFP requirement. Is that Amigo?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Madam Chair, there's another agency that's involved too. While it's our website, it's actually maintained by the Division of Legislative Automated Systems. So, in terms of content, yes, we can do a lot with content, but when we talk about the interactive nature of it, that's when, yes, we would look at maybe getting a website designer, and we can certainly look at getting an exemption from the Procurement Act and looking at seeing what's out there to see if someone can come in and do some work to make the website more user-friendly. But I didn't want you to think that it was that we didn't want to do it. We're sort of limited too, especially when it's outside of content.
Okay. So, but there are a couple of options that I see.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this goes to Zan, your initial question of, do we want something more interactive or do we want something a little more static? If we decide we want something a little more interactive, one option is to use one of our partners, whether it's the Library of Virginia, Virginia Humanities, JMU, to do a sort of what I'll call a collaborative website where there's a separate website that you link to through the History of Lynching in Virginia portal on the Division of Legislative Services website. If that is something that the working group would like to pursue, then that's something we would need to bring to the full commission, probably, vote on and explore options that are available to us, and probably get some guidance from the Attorney General's office, because I know just through our interaction on the Emancipation monument that we might be limited in what we can do, say, for example, through Virginia Humanities, because they are a statutory member. And even if something is in-kinded or not involving money, we do have restrictions on what members of the commission and any organization that they're affiliated with can do. I don't believe, but we need some guidance from the Attorney General, that same restriction would apply to, say, the Library of Virginia or any of the working group members who are not commission members. So I guess the first question I would want to ask the working group is, do you want to explore the possibility of a interactive website through a partner, or would you prefer to just for now update what's on the website now? And I'll open that up for discussion.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Well, I would first ask Dr. DeFazio if he has any plans for his current website in terms of expansion of its content, because obviously that's a pretty strong base to start from.
Which is linked to from ours, I believe.
Yes.
Thank you for your question. So for now, the website, we're going to be expanding by, we're working with some colleagues in the College of Education at JMU, and we're going to be adding some teaching lessons for K-12 based on the website, but that's going to be down the road. I would definitely welcome the opportunity to, increase the size, the scope of the website with adding, documentations and a more interactive features. The only thing is obviously I work on the content side, by JMU libraries that do all the work, and there's a lot of work. So if something you want me to explore, I can definitely talk with people at JMU libraries. But again, it's not something that I can say, well, this is like this additional 3,000 documents and now we have to put into the website and you do it. It's something that requires a little bit more of a planning because, there is a lot of technical expertise in terms of a website design and whatnot. So if something that you're interested, I can definitely inquire JMU libraries and see if they're interested and see if we can have a collaboration, if you need resources. So that's something I can explore if you're interested.
Yeah, and I would just say that certainly we'd be very interested in having that conversation with you in terms of our content, digitization of some of the materials we've already found, and certainly maybe even some help with the content as well. So, because I do think having something that is more comprehensive would be really great. I would think you could do both. I don't see any reason not to build out the current website on the MLK site as well. But, with the expectation that, as Zan said, there's, it probably needs to be somewhat static.
Greg, we lost you.
Madam Chairman.
Brenda?
I would echo what Amigo said because the General Assembly has certain requirements regarding websites and what you can and can't have. But we did have with another commission an interactive website, the Commission on the War of 1812. That commission established the War of 1812 trail in Virginia. But here again, the commission was limited in working with another state agency as a partner. That commission covered all of the expenses. And as Amigo said, we were required to work with the General Assembly's IT department to get that done. So we put the interactive on that commission's website. And it also currently is on the website for the Department of Human, the Department of, not Human Resources.
Historic Resources?
Yeah, I had a senior moment. Historic Resources. So there's the possibility of doing it, but you're limited, at least unless things have changed since I was there. You're limited to working with another state agency because you don't have the conflict that you would with an outside vendor or a non-state agency.
Okay, so unfortunately, I don't see, at least on my iPad, and if somebody else sees it, let me know. I don't see the chat function on the Zoom. Does anybody else have access to the chat function? Okay, I think, so JMU's website, and I don't know if Lindley or Amigo or Lily, do you all have the ability to share your screen? If so, if you could pull up the JMU website, which I can send you a link to. So that everybody, I mean, JMU is a state agency that has an interactive website already. Let's see, let me see it. Well, first, let me ask, do one of the three of you have the ability to share your screen? And if so, who should I send this to?
You can send that to me. I'll pull it up.
Okay. And just so everyone knows, on our website, under lynching in Virginia and under resources, this is the first link we have. Is takes you to what I'm about to send to Lily. Did you get it, Lily?
Is that showing up?
Yes. So this has, sort of under news and events, if you click on that, is sort of a running blog, for lack of a better term. If you click on victims, it is a sortable database of all of the documented victims that can be sorted by name, date, county, race, sex, city. It includes articles that if you click on one of the entries, if there's an article, so like click on Bill Nichols for a minute. So it gives you a summary. If there were any news articles about that lynching, they're there. You can submit comments. So this one option is just to partner with JMU and continue to have this link, but make it a little more clear that this is a collaboration with the King Commission. And they are a state agency, so that satisfies that. And then we don't have to recreate the wheel. Thoughts on that?
Madam Chair, this is Laurie Nett. I like this idea. And I'm thinking about the opportunity for teachers to contribute lesson plans. Could we expand it so that that could be an addition as well?
Are you, I don't want to interrupt you, Laurinette. Did you have something else?
We could look at the areas where we're planning to have programming as well, to ask teachers in those areas to provide lesson plans.
Zan, were you going to say something?
Well, yes, and I think, depending on, of course, what Gianluca says, but I think if we, and I think Greg already said this, we can do a little bit of both for now, and that's to sort of improve the static information on our page, particularly where it is not necessarily found on any of the other links, that talks about more about lynching and the history of it and the what exactly it is, what it is defined as legal, what's the legal definition of it. But anyway, so if we did put in some effort to make our own page a little more informational, and then obviously, I mean, we already link with JMU's page, and it's excellent. And so I think we could talk a little bit more about it on our page, and encourage people to go there. So I see us doing both things. And then if we're looking at what do we do really from now until the end of the year, and then as things develop, there's going to be more activity that we will need to include or be included. So I think it's probably premature to do our own website right now. And I love the idea. And I talked to Gianluca before the December meeting and Greg about the two entities. I mean, the Library of Virginia, I guess, is also an agency of the, but not to encumber them with a lot of extra work that maybe they're not ready, they don't have the capacity for right now. I think what they've got now would be a tremendous asset. I just think we need to, forgive the term, but I think we need to market it a little better. I'm not sure how many people actually get to that page to get to see these other resources. So I think that's just another part of it.
So what I hear you saying is on the front page of the history of lynching in Virginia page, basically revamp that page to provide more of a narrative, not just about the working group, but about lynching in Virginia itself. Perhaps pull excerpts from the resolutions, which is something we do on the African American legislators page. Is that what I hear you saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So with that, I'm going to ask if there is a volunteer to draft that content. Because I think when we did the African American legislators page that does pretty much what you just said, we had a member of that working group who actually wrote that content. So I'm going to ask for a volunteer and maybe a committee.
Well, Senator, I don't want to take anything away from what anybody else wants to do, but I am happy to be one of those volunteers.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'll just offer, if I may, that in the community discussion guide for our film about the history and legacy of lynching, one thing we try to do is get on the same page. Everybody might be getting together for a screening with a sort of basic history of lynching and racial violence. Since we have a 2 to 3 page summary of this, it's long enough to be substantive, it's short enough to be digestible. So I could share that very easily. This is content that's already been read, fact checked, peer reviewed. It's a good document ready to go. And that might be a way, in the spirit of not reinventing the wheel, to start with something really strong and build on it.
Okay. Well, that sounds, and Laurinette, I saw a thumb up. Is that, you agree, or is that you're volunteering?
I definitely agree. And I'm going to help you. I'm here.
Okay.
I got you. All right.
Well, let's do this. I'm going to appoint, absent objection, a committee of Lance, Laurinette, and Zan to work with Lily to draft content for a new landing page. That we will get up as soon as possible. Unless the working group wants to approve it, but we probably will not be meeting again for 3 months. So if we want this done, and we can do it either way. We can either have the working group review that content before it goes up, or we can get that. You can delegate to the committee with approval from Delegate McQuinn and I, that content to go up by the next meeting. All right. How about I am going to I'm going to ask for a motion to delegate authority to the committee, and Delegate McQuinn and I will be ex officio members of the committee to draft content to go up on the website as soon as it is ready, but by the next meeting.
I move it.
Okay.
Second.
Is there? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. And then we are coming up on the end of the hour. So our last item of business at the December meeting, we tentatively decided we wanted to do an essay contest for the 2021-2022 school year after there was some focus on helping teachers address the history of lynching. And based on the programming update, we have at least 2 events scheduled that would focus on teachers. And so what I want to ask now is if the working group wants to continue to move forward with an essay contest for the 2021-2022 school year. And if the answer is yes, then ask that I will contact the superintendent of schools to coordinate what that schedule would look like. And I think that we should decide, at least right now, whether we would want to do an essay contest in the first semester or the second semester. If it's the first semester, we got to move much more quickly. If it's the second semester, we'll have time to come back to the commission at our next meeting to plan out a little more of those details.
Seems logical to do the second semester. Just because we will have firmer ideas with some of these teacher workshops, be able to get that information to the teachers at those events to spread the word. But I think timing wise, that probably makes a lot more sense, Madam Chair.
Okay. Gianluca, I saw your hand.
Yeah, just very quickly, when I go back to the previous point about the website, if you want, before the next meeting, I can talk with JMU Library and see if there is an interest in expanding the website and collaborating, if that's okay with everyone. Just I don't want to make an initiative without anyone's consent. So sorry if I went back for a second.
That's okay. I'm sorry I didn't see your hand sooner. Okay, so sounds like second semester. So with that, I will by the next meeting present sort of a timeline and plans for an essay contest for the second semester of the 2021-2022 school year. All right. Is there any other business for the working group?
Madam Chairman, I was just going to add that when the commission did it previously, the superintendent sends out a memo once a month, sometimes twice a month, depending upon what the issues are. And so it was really convenient and noteworthy too that the notice came from the superintendent. So he automatically covers all schools with that. So the commission didn't have to worry about getting the message out to the hundreds of public schools that are in existence. And we also pulled in the private institutions, and that is private schools, and there is a organization to which the private schools belong. And so we contacted the president of that particular organization, and they did likewise. They sent the rules, they sent the guidelines out to all of their schools. And then the commission got feedback based upon the date that submissions had to be in.
Okay.
So that'll ease your work in terms of getting the word out to schools and teachers.
Yes, I remember that. Okay, if there is no other business for the working group, then we will adjourn. And then, Lindley, I don't know if the full commission members have started joining or if they're in a waiting room, but we will convene the full commission as soon as we have a quorum.
Chair, you have a quorum. I can let them in if you'd like.
Okay. And the working group are welcome to stay if you like, and if you've got other things to do, we understand.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, I think I see the commission members coming in now, so I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Virginia Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Commission, and welcome everyone to our first full meeting of 2021. We usually have introductions. Everyone introduce themselves based on where you're sitting on the dais, but since we cannot do that, and I'm operating from an iPad, I think what I'm going to do this time is ask Lindley if she'll do a roll call and calls your name for the folks that are watching. You know, introduce yourself, say where you're from. If you're a General Assembly member, your district. If you're one of the, we do have some ex officio members sort of identify the organization that you're with. And I think we'll handle it that way in the interest of time.
Senator Stanley, Senator Evans, Delegate Tyler.
Present.
Delegate McQuinn.
Present.
Delegate Carr.
Present.
Delegate Cole.
I am here. Are we still supposed to do our introductions?
But nobody keep following directions. That's okay.
Well, I'm Delegate Josh Cole, and I represent the 28th House District in the city of Fredericksburg and Stafford County.
Delegate Wright.
Good afternoon. I'm from Victoria, Virginia, here in Lunenburg County. I represent the 61st District, and it's a pleasure to be with everyone else on the commission this afternoon.
Delegate Ferris. Kirk Schroeder.
President, I'm Kirk Schroeder. I'm an attorney in Richmond, and I live in Charlottesville. And this is Winnie Pie, and she wants to listen in on the meeting today, too. So will be listening very closely, Madam Chair.
Ronald Carey.
Here, citizen member.
Bruce Act.
I'm here. I'm from Northern Virginia, a rabbi emeritus at a synagogue and a visiting scholar at the Carter Center at George Mason University.
Lauren Lee.
Hello, I'm from Chesterfield, Virginia, and serving as citizen at large on several committees here. And I'm with my 91-year-old father whose health is not well. So if I keep getting up, that's why.
Edward McCoy. Matthew Gibson.
Present. Matthew Gibson, the Director of Virginia Humanities, located here in Charlottesville and just down the street from Kurt. But he's got a much cuter companion than I do. So it's good to see you all.
Ricardo Brown. Senator Locke.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you. I represent the 2nd Senate District, which covers parts of the cities of Hampton, Newport News, Portsmouth, and a part of York County.
And Madam Chair.
Here, Senator Jennifer McClellan, representing the 9th District, which is Charles City County, parts of Henrico, Richmond, Hanover, and the town of Ashland. And if those members that did not want to introduce themselves would like to, please do.
Well, I'm Delegate Rosalind Tyler, representing the 75th District. My district is the rural South Side, Virginia.
Good
Hello.
afternoon. Good afternoon. Delegate McQuinn, representing the 70th House District, which includes Charles City, part of Richmond, northern Chesterfield, and eastern part of Henrico. And it's Friday. I'm tired.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is
Delegate
Matt Ferris. Yes, ma'am. I represent the 59th district, which is Campbell, Appomattox, Buckingham, part of Albemarle, part of Nelson County, and I'm very pleased to be a part of this commission. And thank y'all for having me today.
Delegate Carr.
Thank you, Delegate Betsy Carr, 69th House District, which includes portions of both sides of the river in Richmond, Virginia.
Thank you. So we have some very exciting updates today about the Emancipation and Freedom Monument, which is in Virginia. I won't give away the entire report yet, but the statue is here and is on track to be completed and unveiled before the end of the year. So with that, Amigo, I'm not sure if you or Lily are doing the update. Okay.
I am doing it, Madam Chair. And I did want to say at the very outset, I want to acknowledge Joe D'Amico and his team over at DGS, as well as Catherine Surface Banks and Catherine Shankles, who are attorneys with the AG's office. They have been instrumental in the last several weeks as we've been having weekly meetings trying to pull things together. So this update that I'm providing, a lot of it is Joe's information, but it wouldn't be possible if that team of people didn't work with us to get us to this point. So what I want to do is basically follow what's in the agenda, with the exception of starting off with the property conveyance. By way of background, some who were on the commission for a while may recall that at one point when we were about to do the site development, we found that the site had to be moved back about maybe 15 or 20 feet because it was in sort of a pedestrian right of way. And that caused us to have to make some changes to the contract, but it also caused us to have to change the easement that was provided. So one of the first updates is that the conveyance of the parcel where the memorial is going to be on Browns Island has closed, and it's been recorded. So the Commonwealth does now own the site, and a lot goes to Catherine for helping to kind of push that process along. So we own the site now. In terms of transportation, the statues have been transported from Berkeley, California, to DGS's website, and that happened on the 19th of April. So, and that's where it's being stored. And we have a slide presentation that we're going to show you in just a little bit that shows you where they are and looks at how they look now. So the statues, the monument pieces are on state soil. So that's I almost want to give a round of applause there, but they are in Virginia. And go ahead, Lily, and do the and start the slideshow. One of the things that that was in the original contract was that the commission was meant to approve the bronze figures before they were transported. And as you probably understand, the pandemic caused things to stop for a while, and we had to move really fast to move the statue from or the components from the foundry where they were being stored to here in Virginia because they had to make space there. So so we're sort of doing this a little backwards, but we had to move the statues before. So Lily, if you can scroll through, I think the last few slides are going to be of what the bronze statues are. And Madam Chair, I'm going to ask that there be, once we see them, this is where it begins with the bronze statues. This is what the statues look like. And that's the woman and the baby. And those are the bases that have the famous Virginians on it. This is where they are now in DGS's warehouse. I was going to say website. As you see, they're put in they've been sectioned off, and they have some covering on it so that they're away from view and they're being kept safe. And this is a more close-up view of what the bronze statues look like, for how they appear. And so with that, Madam Chair, I would like if there could be a motion for the approval of the bronze statue so that we can check that item off of the contract.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Go ahead, amigo.
All right, continuing to go down the checklist in terms of the site work. Of course, as I said, things were slowed because of the pandemic. But Joe D'Amico and his team and the two Catherines have been hard at work. They coordinated a meeting with Venture Richmond because one of the things that is happening with us sort of coming out of the pandemic is more events are being scheduled for the for Browns Island. But they got together to get with the construction logistics, and the group held its first pre-construction meeting on the 26th of April to review and approve a final construction plan. The construction survey that lays out the actual site has been completed. The building permit has been approved, and the contractor is prepared to mobilize as early as May the 3rd. And what I can report now is that because of the changes that had to be made because of the soil remediation issue and the sort of elongated schedule that we're going to have because of the events that are going to be occurring while the construction is going on, we had to make some changes to the contract. The amended, it's going to be a mouthful. The amendment to the amended agreement has been fully executed, so the contractors are ready to begin construction on the site this Monday, which would be May the 3rd. As far as the schedule, the amendment has a completion date by September the 30th of 2021. So things are beginning to move. In terms of cost and funding, the added costs are related to the movement and storage of the bronze figures. As I mentioned before, what was supposed to happen under the contract was that they were going to be stored until the artist moved them here, and he was going to be responsible for all of that. There wouldn't be any storage that would be involved. But because of the way things happened with the timing, they had to be moved here and stored in DGS's warehouse. That was an added expense. Also, there was an added expense to deal with the soil remediation issue. And finally, because of the elongated schedule, it's good that it happened because we're coming out of the pandemic. But it had to be added for or added into. Now, having said all that, there was an appropriation of $100,000 that we got in the last in the recently approved budget. We also have donations that are being held by the Virginia Capital Foundation. It's roughly about $134,000 and some change. We have a combination of grants that have been received and that we are anticipating to receive very shortly. That will allow us to meet the budget for getting the whole construction complete. Any questions or anything so far? All right, and the last thing is in talking with the attorneys, just so that we have a nice bow wrap on everything. They thought it was a good idea, and again, I'm going to be taxing some of your memories. When we ran into the issue of having to sort of go back sort of to the drawing board to when we had to move the site back a little bit, it was recognized by the commission that we couldn't wait until each time the commission met. So back in August 19th of 2019, the commission gave the chair the authority to do 3 things: to approve amendments to the contract that were needed to keep things moving in terms of changes in the site and the schedule and the budget. Also, to make changes that were related to any other contingencies that came up. And the attorneys thought it was a good idea to go ahead and have a resolution submitted where the commission would basically approve those previous agreements. And what those agreements are is, first, there was the November 29th, 2019 agreement, which was the first amendment that basically dealt with the added cost that would be moving the site back, as well as the new schedule. Then there was a letter of agreement that was from March 24th of 2021 that covered the transportation of the bronze figures from Berkeley to the DGS warehouse. Then there was some schematic design documents that had to be changed due to the change in site work. And finally, the amended agreement that was executed yesterday that basically included the soil remediation issues and the elongated schedule. So that's basically what's before you. And Madam Chair, that resolution would sort of put everything in a nice, neat bow as we get to the end of getting the monument constructed.
And Amigo, that resolution, the draft resolution submitted to the members with
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I do apologize, members and Madam Chair. I think we sent it out last night, but it was really, we were really trying to make it as complete as possible.
Okay. Before I entertain a motion, are there any questions for Amigo either on the updates or on the resolution? And I see.
Yes, thank you. I want to thank all the effort made to put forth this document for us. I only have one small question. It makes a statement with regard to the contingencies, not for the total pricing, not to exceed, I think, $966,000. Are there any anticipations at all regarding additional monies that may be needed now that everything is in place to go?
No, thank you, Madam Chair and Mr. Carey. I think that we kept it there. There's a provision in the amended agreement. We capped the soil remediation cost at $10,000, so that if it got to that point, they would have to come back to the commission, because we didn't, we have an idea of what those costs are going to be, but at the same time, we didn't want the contractor to just go forward without having some sort of a rest point to, so that we would be able to come back to you guys.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Before we take I just want to thank Amigo and Lily and Joe, even though he is not here. This has been a long time coming. First of all, the commission first decided we wanted to do a monument, I think, in 2012. And there have been a lot of surprises and challenges along the way. But Amigo, before him, Brenda, Lily, Joe with DGS as our project manager, and the Catherines in the Attorney General's office have at every point really gone above and beyond to meet those challenges as they came. Everything from a health pandemic to arsenic in the ground, which, we did not anticipate. And I also want to thank the city of Richmond, who and all of the departments involved, who likewise, when there were unexpected surprises, stepped up, and sometimes it took a little prodding from us, but at the end of the day, the city of Richmond, Venture Richmond, the commission, DGS, the Attorney General's office, we have worked very well together and in partnership, and we are very, very close to to the end of this project. So I just, again, want to thank the staff and everybody involved. So if there are no other questions, I will entertain. Oh, sorry. Do I hear a question?
I had one question, and
Yeah.
I probably should know the answer to this, but are there sufficient funds available now, or do we have an additional fundraising to do to complete the cost of the project, or are we in good shape on that?
We are in good shape. We are awaiting final word on 1 or 2 grant requests that we expect the answer to be yes. And in particular, Open Source Foundation, I think that's the correct name, invited us to submit a grant request for $200,000, which was the gap that we had at the end before the soil remediation issue came up. When the soil remediation issue came up, we estimated at the time that costs total for that would be a little under $100,000. And so we got an appropriation in the last budget to cover that. So once we get the open source grant, which we have, every reason to believe will be soon, then we will have probably a little bit to spare. But given that we still have until September, we'll take that little bit to spare.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair, the name of that organization was Open Societies, the Open Societies Foundation.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
So, and Madam Chair, excuse me for holding up things. I just hate to be the attorney in this, but rather than a voice vote, if we could have Linda do a roll call vote, and this is again to just make sure that nice clean vote.
Okay.
Senator Stanley. Senator Evans.
Yes.
Delegate Tyler.
Yes.
Delegate McQuinn.
Yes.
Delegate Carr.
Yes.
Delegate Cole.
Aye.
Delegate Wright.
Yes.
Delegate Ferris.
Yes.
Schroeder.
Yes.
Ronald Carey.
Yes.
Ruth Ash.
Yes.
Laurinette Lee.
Yes.
Edward McCoy. Matthew Gibson.
Yes.
Ricardo Brown. Senator Locke.
Aye.
And Senator McCollum.
Yes.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Thank you. So the next thing we need to plan, and we can, I think here we might need to delegate this as well, just to make sure we know the full schedule. But we want to have a ceremony to dedicate and unveil the monument. Now, Amigo, I guess my question for you is, I understand the contract, the monument has to be completed and installed no later than September 30th. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
So our options are, we could set a tentative date today, or we could wait until our next meeting, which will likely be June or late June or June or July, and set the date then based on where the construction is. Does that sound right?
Yes. I mean, the hope, of course, is that everything will be completed before September the 30th. But yes.
Okay. Does the commission have a preference between setting a tentative date now, delegating authority to me to set a date, or setting a date at our next meeting?
Maybe it'd be wise to wait till we know when it's actually going to be installed and do that at the next meeting.
Okay, then that's what we'll do. And then I think we can defer the next agenda item, which is plan for future events at the monument, for either the next meeting or the one after that, since we don't want to put the cart before the horse. Any other questions or comments about the monument?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Senator Evan.
In spite of being appropriate to set the date for the unveiling today, I am kind of curious, do we need to start thinking about what we want to happen at the unveiling? The program, or will that come later?
I think we can do that later. I think in general, the last two, so with the last monument that was officially dedicated, I guess, would have been the women's monument or mantle. And I do remember when the Civil Rights Memorial, but I think we would invite the governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, our former chair, Henry Marsh, who really began this project, former and current commission members, any descendants of the people on the monument, General Assembly members, all would be invited, some combination of those be invited to speak. I would probably want to invite the Legba Folklore Society to participate. But I think we can the Emancipation Working Group, I think, should have an opportunity to talk through what they want to do and bring that to the full commission. So I think either at the next meeting or shortly thereafter, we can bring a recommendation. But I really would like to have that working group have some say in what that program would look like before the commission have that discussion.
Okay.
Madam Chair, just a quick question. Are we on track as far as final payment to the artist?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I neglected to thank Kirk, because he wrote our first contract and was also very instrumental in the first amendment that needed to be made. All right. Any other questions on the monument? So because we have so much experience with monuments now, the next item on the agenda is, it says statue, but it should say tribute. As you may recall, at our December meeting, I think, whenever our last meeting was, we had been requested to do some sort of tribute to Senator Yvonne Miller, who was the first African-American woman elected to the General Assembly. And in the budget that was adopted by the General Assembly, we were authorized, and I believe appropriated $50,000. Am I remembering that correctly, Amigo?
Yes, ma'am. As of July the 1st.
As of July the 1st, to begin the process for authorizing and beginning a tribute to Senator Miller. This right now is just informational purposes, because number one, I think we stretch ourselves too thin if we try to do two things at once. And so we will not begin that process until after the Emancipation Monument is completed, although I will appoint a working group to begin to think about what we want that tribute to look like. But I will give you a couple of options and give you an update on some suggestions that have been made to this point. A statue is an option. There will be a vacancy on Capitol Square after July 1st, as the General Assembly did authorize the removal of the statue of Harry Byrd. Prior to that, there was not space on Capitol Square for a statue. A statue or a bust inside the Capitol is theoretically an option, though that would require some discussions with the Senate Rules Committee and the Speaker of the House. A portrait at least one person has suggested a painting and a portrait because there are no portraits of African American women. And I believe there's only one portrait of a woman in the Capitol today. There is also a possibility of Senator Miller being incorporated in the Women's Monument somehow. That is a very preliminary discussion. I don't know whether that would be a statue or not, but that is something that is theoretically possible. And so I wanted to at least tell the commission we have been authorized to do something, and I will begin discussions of all of the possible options available to the commission. At our next meeting, I will put forth a proposed working group to begin planning for that tribute, but we won't be doing that until the next meeting. I really just wanted to let everyone know that we did get that authorization, and that will be our next project once the Emancipation Monument is complete. Any questions on that?
Madam Chair, regarding
Yes.
the portrait, would that be a portrait inside the executive mansion or elsewhere on the Capitol Square?
I think in the Capitol.
Okay.
And I would say between now and our next meeting, if you are interested in serving on that working group, let me know. Okay. All right, next is an update on the history of lynching in Virginia work group. That work group met just before the full commission. And Amigo, I can go ahead and give that update. As you all recall, back in 2019, the General Assembly adopted resolutions that Delegate McQuinn and I carried, expressing profound regret for racial terror lynchings that occurred in the Commonwealth of Virginia and charging the commission with documenting those lynchings, working to have programming in communities impacted by the lynchings, to work with the Department of Historic Resources and the Equal Justice Initiative's Community Remembrance Project to bring historic markers to lynching sites. And so for 2021, we have a tentative programming schedule. We do not have exact dates yet, but as we get them, we will share them with the rest of the community. But we will be doing events this summer in Richmond and Danville that are targeted around providing education to teachers around racial terror lynchings that occurred, because now lynchings are incorporated in the history standards of learning. I believe the Danville event will also involve a screening of the documentary An Outrage, which two of our work group members produced a few years ago. We will have an event in Hampton Roads, probably at Norfolk State University, because Dr. Cassandra Newby-Alexander is spearheading that. We will have an event in the planning district. I don't remember the name of it, but Josh, Delegate Cole, this is your area. It's the planning district that includes, let's see if I get them all, Culpeper, Fauquier, Amigo, I need your help now. I did not write that down.
Yeah, I want to ask Lily if she wrote it down, but I think those first two are right. I know the Culpeper is.
Is Louisa one of them? Not sure.
No. All right, I'll look that up. Unless Delegate Cole, I can phone a friend and ask Delegate Cole what the planning district is in his area.
You had Orange and Culpeper along with.
Go ahead. I just Googled it. It's Planning District 9.
Yes.
Culpeper, Madison, Orange, Rappahannock, and Fauquier.
Yes, thank you. And then we will have an event in Northern Virginia at George Mason University in the fall. So the Planning District 9 and George Mason will be in the fall. The other 3 will be in late summer. So as we get those dates, we'll send those to the commission, and you all will be invited to attend. We also had a discussion about updating the commission's website in 2 parts. One, the commission's website is fairly static and is housed through the Division of Legislative Services. And what's the other agency, Amigo?
The Division of Legislative Automated Systems.
Yes. We will update the content of our website and then link. It is already linked to, but we will publicize that link a little better and make clearer that it's a bit of a collaboration. James Madison University has a database of all of the documented racial terror lynchings that occurred in Virginia. It's fairly interactive, where you can search by victim name, by locality, by year, and the database will take you to a page that gives you a summary of that lynching, who the victim was, if there are any news articles related to it, they're there as well. So we will have some updates to our website. And then we will be working on a student art and essay contest about racial terror lynchings for the second semester of the 2021-2022 school year. But more information and details on that at our next meeting. Did I forget anything on the lynching work group?
Got everything.
Okay. Any questions on that?
Can I add a comment, Madam Chair?
Yes, Senator Evan.
I just wanted to note for the group that this past weekend or a week ago today, April 23rd, I guess it was, in Alexandria, there was a remembrance held for Joseph McCoy, who was lynched in Alexandria at age 18. It was the 124th anniversary of his lynching. They lit up City Hall in purple in memoriam. And there was a lecture, and a new marker was installed last Friday, a week ago.
Thank you. Okay, that is all of the business we had on our agenda. Is there any other business anyone would like to bring up?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I missed the lynching work group. I wasn't listed on the list of people on it. I don't know if you sought volunteers for that group or if that group is already established. But if there's an interest in adding others to it, I'd be interested in participating.
Yes, there's pretty much an open invitation to commission members to join any working group that they want. So we will consider yourself officially appointed. Any other business questions, comments? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn and give you back part of your Friday.
So moved, Madam Chair. Happy Friday.
Second, Madam Chair.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty.